Welcome to the mix. I'm ABD. Today we have an affordable Squier guitar to check out. I'm usually a Strat player. Sometimes I'll play humbucker guitars like a Les Paul, but I'm usually playing a Strat. I like Telly sometimes. And I figured I would try a Jazzmaster and these new Squiers, the 40th anniversary that they're only doing this year for the 40th anniversary. These were announced and they have a bunch of cool features, so I thought I would check one out. Um, they include vintage hardware, which is artificially aged to look old and kind of brandished, and that includes the tuning machines and the strap buttons and the tremolo system and the bridge, and it also includes an anodized gold pickguard. So that's a metal pickguard of some sort, and it includes two Jazzmaster pickups, and the old-fashioned switching with these buttons and wheels up here, the switch and these wheels up here, and your three-way switch toggle right there. And there's some cool stuff about this guitar. Oh, and also a satin finish. So it's a smooth, soft finish. So it's soft touch. There's no shiny gloss finish on it. And the neck as well. There's no finish on the back. And there's no finish on the front, which a lot of times on Fender guitars, on the Player series at least, they have on the Maple guitars, they have a finish on the front of the fretboard, but no finish on the back, or a satin finish on the back for that easy sliding and non-stickiness that's sometimes associated with a finished lacquered neck. And it's a 9.5-inch radius on the fretboard. It has the vintage kind of tint to it that they do on the classic vibe guitars, so it's a little yellowed to appear old. And like I said, I usually play Strat guitars, so some of the differences on a Jazzmaster is obviously you have two pickups. They're P90 style pickups, but they are not P90s. They are Jazzmaster pickups. Some people will call them P90s sometimes because they look very similar, but they are not P90s. They are different pickups, and they have a different profile. They're a lot warmer than P90s. They maybe don't have as much punch as P90s, and maybe a little less sizzle in the high end, maybe not, depending on what kind of set you're working with. And in this case, it has a tremolo system in the front that's based on this trem arm and moving bridge. And so, unlike a Strat, there's no back plate. There's no opening in the back of the guitar where there's springs and a block. The hole in the guitar is in the front here, and there's a metal piece that connects to this trem arm that moves up and down, which in turn moves the bridge up and down. So the pros of this guitar, it's a really pretty guitar. Seafoam green is one of Fender's most popular colors, at least it used to be. And the satin looks really good. It almost makes it look kind of bluish. I love the anodized gold pickguard. I always thought anodized gold pickguards look really good on either like a P bass or sometimes on their guitars. In this case, it looks really good on the Jazz. And the neck feels really good. There's one volume and one tone knob, and they function well. They feel good. The pickup selector is nice and tight. Getting to some of the cons, these tuning machines are not super great because of the trem system that's moving your strings. They're going to go out of tune. If you were to replace them, it would kind of change the whole vibe of the guitar because all the hardware has the vintage aging, and if you were to replace them, it would no longer have that unless you could find a set of maybe locking vintage age tuners without spending a whole bunch of money. And then the biggest con on what seems to be every Jazzmaster, but definitely this one, is the bridge. It has a lot of issues with vibrating. Some people have issues with it moving, the individual saddles moving on the screws and messing up the intonation. The way that these saddles, these kind of barrel saddles, sit next to each other, they vibrate. The string vibrates in a weird kind of sitar-esque way. and it's not super fantastic. The trem arm is longer than a Stratocaster trem arm, and there's an input jack on the front right there. And so, what else? The other thing that I can mention is the nut. I believe they claim it's bone, and it's cut really well. It looks really good. The truss rod adjustment is at the top. There's one string tree. The neck plate on the back says Squier 40th anniversary, 1982 to 2022. And it also has a skunk stripe on the back from where they install the truss rod. So that's some of the first impressions and pros and cons. The other thing I should mention is these are some of the most expensive Squiers they've ever made at $600. And so you're getting pretty close to like a Player Series Fender guitar. And even with the price increase in the last couple years. And so that's some about the guitar. Now I think we could plug it in and hear how it sounds. So first we'll plug it into a Friedman Runt 20 tube amp. We have some pedals on the floor, and we will see how that sounds. We're on the clean channel. And we'll go on the neck pickup. Bridge pickup. Middle position. Back to the neck and put a compressor on. Let's add a fuzz on top of that. Try a rat type distortion. We can go ahead and leave that compressor on, and I'm going to put an envelope filter at the end of the chain on top of that. See what that sounds like. So as you can see, like I said, a pretty compressed, highly saturated sound from these pickups. There's some nice chime and definition in the high end. There's a little bit of punch, but that whole mid-range is just super saturated. There's a pretty satisfying low end. And turn off the envelope filter and put a little chorus on. I still have the compressor on. Okay, where were we? We were playing guitar, right. So, if we go back, and I want to show you something about this button, or this switch up here on Jazzmaster guitars. I can adjust the volume with the volume knob, obviously, down here. But if I turn the volume all the way down, and I flip this switch, you can hear that it gets loud again. And that's because when you flip this switch, what it basically does is activates both of your pickups, and you can use these two rolling wheels here to adjust how much of each one you want. And so there's a little bit of hum canceling if I turn it up and then turn the knob on. There's a little bit of hum canceling that happens, but for the most part, it's giving you access to both the pickups at the same time. And so let's play something with it on and with it off. And I'm going to go to the neck pickup for this. Now if I turn it on, turn it back off, turn it back on, so you can see you lose a little bit of definition and a little bit of the high end, but it cancels a little bit of the low end, and it gives you some more tonal options to have with your two pickups at the same time. So that's been through the tube amp so far. Just for fun, I'm going to put on some ultra metal distortion to show you that these pickups are not very good for high distortion stuff. They're flubby and harsh and too saturated for that. But we'll turn off the chorus and turn off the compressor and turn on some ultra metal from Behringer. A cheap pedal, but an awesome pedal. And for this, I'm actually going to go, you can hear how much more feedback and noise we have. I'm going to go to the bridge for this with the button with our switch off. So you won't be chugging with this for surely, but for some high gain lead tones, it's not too bad. It's probably not the guitar you're going to reach for, but it's not terrible. So that was some tones through a tube amp and some pedals. Now I'm going to try plugging into Neural DSP Corey Wong for some direct input plug-in goodness. So that was some quick tone demos that you can expect to get out of this, from clean to dirty to overdriven, using a tube amp and using a plug-in. And the pros, like I said, it looks really good. The pickups sound pretty good. They sound really good for Jazzmaster pickups. If that's the type of sound you're looking for, they sound great. They're designed by Fender. The neck feels really good. Like I said, there's no finish on the front, so that does have a certain feel when you're bending notes and moving around the fretboard. The satin finish on the back feels really good. The edges of the fretboard seem like they're slightly rolled, so they're not sharp, they're nice and smooth. The frets, there's no sprouting. It's nice and smooth on the sides, no sharp ends. There's one string tree. Like I said, the tuners, they come out of tune sometimes, but that's to be expected with any non-locking tuners on a guitar with a trem system. The nut is cut really well. I believe it's a bone nut. The trem works really well and sounds great. The bridge does have those vibrating kind of sitar kind of annoying vibrations that you don't necessarily want. But like I said before, you can fix that by putting some Loctite in there or something else from keeping the saddles from moving up and down or vibrating. And I hope you found that interesting. Remember to like and subscribe below for more gear reviews and music shenanigans. And I hope you have a good one. Take care. Oh, that was a giant bug that just ran under my feet. It's a giant bug. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill this bug. I'm gonna kill you, bitch. You think you're fucking hiding, but I see you. You're gonna fucking die tonight. You're gonna fucking die tonight. Okay, we got it, everybody. We killed the bug. We're back in action. So, where were we?